Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Today's guest is Ash Shukla. Ash is a holistic business consultant and founder of Financial Chakras. He came to the U.S. in 1989, and hear this, he only had 20 US dollars and no knowledge of English whatsoever. After more than 2 decades working as a successful planner, Ash decided to explore speaking and training consulting. Today, he is an Amazon best-selling author of Sell Like Crazy, a book that changed millions of lives. He will soon publish his fifth book, Financial Chakras. Ash has personally helped more than 5,000 business owners and entrepreneurs, taking their ventures to more than 7 figures in revenue. He is a sought after keynote speaker and received a congressional honor for his work in helping small businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome beyond the velvet rope, Mr. Ash Shukla. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, my friend Neil. How you doing?
Man, I am doing fantastic. So, Ash, we've got a lot to talk about today. First, I love the energy, I love the smile. And, Ash, I read some things about you in the introduction, from congressional honors to 5 books to Amazon bestseller, coming here with $20 in your pocket. But what's something, if you would be willing to share with the audience, that I did not say about you?
Well, there were two things you didn't say about me. The first thing you didn't say anything about me is that I was a rambunctious child, and then the second thing you didn't mention was the fact that I'm a vegetarian by birth. Okay, yeah, those
All
are two
right.
things that you did not share.
Okay, so let's jump into that. And so, me not knowing that you're a rambunctious child, how did that play into the man that Ash Shukla is today? Because if we aren't careful in today's society, and I know you came from a different culture, and we'll share some of that, but here in the U.S., that energy from a child, the rambunctiousness, we try to hone that in and we try to corral that. But how much of that energy and that excitement and that rambunctious spirit play into the man that you are today?
I think that look, rambunctious man doesn't mean that you have to be destructive. Rambunctious means you are just creative, right? In a ways that most people thought you were rambunctious. Not, I didn't think I was rambunctious, but everybody else thought I was rambunctious, right? So that being said, I think it's important to understand what does that mean. So to me, what that means is, yes, I was always, in terms of jumping off of a two-story buildings, or jumping on trees, or playing tags on trees and things that, I thought I was a squirrel for a little bit, right? Or a monkey, so that being said, to me, that's rambunctiousness. That's just me being child, just exploring. And I think it's important to know that when you are in an energy of flow, and when you are in the energy of really creativity, and that plays a big role, because what happens is, when you are getting in when you if you are a child and you are a goody two show, and you do everything that somebody says, right, you are not learning to think outside of the box. And many times, when you are troublemaker in the house, and I was the first son in terms of like grandkids and what have you, right? First grandchild also. So that being said, when you are not learning how to think outside of the box, when trouble comes around, or when you want to create something, it's very hard for you to do. So I think it's very crucial to think outside of the box, right? And be the rambunctious, and be the somebody who is a change maker, in terms of, and make it what's normal. Like today, everybody thinks I'm, uh, people who know me since I was a childhood, they know that I have always been entrepreneurial spirited. I could not be locked down into an office environment and things like that. And they could see today that, they're glad that I wasn't built that way.
Yeah.
But it takes time.
Okay, so Ash, you mentioned you being the first son. I am the middle child, right? So I'm the middle son. So I tell everyone that my parents had my older brother, and they were like, man, he's pretty awesome. If we had another one, it would be an upgrade. So then they had me, and they were like, man, we're 2 for 2. This son, like, he's better than the first one. And then they had my younger brother, and they were like, oh, we should have stopped at 2, right? It's not going to get better than Neil. But you mentioned the people who knew you. they saw, they're like, man, he's got this entrepreneurial spirit. He has this energy, and we'll talk about those energies in a little bit. But you're not from the United States. You're not born and raised in the United States, so you're coming to this strange land, right? You're coming in 1989 with, I'm sure, hopes, dreams, ambition, not a lot of money. And we'll talk about how you had all of these things but lacked the financial resources initially. So, what does that moment look like for Ash leaving home? And if I'm not mistaken, leaving India and saying, hey, I want this thing. Like, there's this dream, there's this spirit, there's this purpose inside of me that is willing to risk on myself. What does that look like when you think back on it now?
Well, first of all, I tell you, there's no moment like that. So I'll give you my story. So when we were leaving on September 4th, 1989, it has taken us 9 years to get our visas, right, for green card. And then, so my aunt had applied for us in 1981, and we finally got our visas in 1989. So on September 4th, my dad had literally two choices to make. He was working at a government job, and he was making 3,000 rupees a month at a government facility, right, as a government official. And that means it was 40 bucks a month, just so you know. That's how much he was making. And then he had saved up, some of his money. We were living in a government quarters back home. And when we were living, meaning like government condo, right? And then eventually they were going to give us a house. This was in 1989. They were going to give us a house for 80,000 rupees. My dad had a choice to make: 80,000 rupees to buy the house, or 80,000 rupees to buy the tickets to United States. So he made a choice, and then he made that choice of buying the tickets. We are now at the at the Mumbai International Airport, and we are sitting outside. On the way to the airport, all our aunts and uncles and cousins, they were stopping by at every single railroad station to meet us, to say goodbye to us. Some of the relatives tag along. We are outside at the Mumbai International Airport all day long, all of us hanging out outside the Mumbai International Airport. I'm talking my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, because we didn't know when we were going to get back, my friend. So what happened from that point forward? We were like, okay, now what do we do? So the moment came when it was time for us to board. Our plane was supposed to take off around 9 o'clock at night. So around 7 o'clock, we start to say our final goodbyes. So in Indian culture, we bow to elders and we take their blessings, bowing to their feet. So we start to bow to our elders. We start to go in the plane. We go, and we are saying final goodbyes, and everybody was emotional, obviously. And we had never been in a plane before. It was the first time we getting in a plane. And the back in the day, like, they used to have these amazing perfumes and, like, the luxurious moment, right? So we walk in with the beige sidings and maroon carpets, and it was so beautiful. And we walk in this plane, it was so beautiful, and we are like, wow. And me and my brother, we had to fight for the window seat. And of course, we compromised. Let's put it that way. We compromised, okay. And so, that being said, right, so we as we sat down, and then plane was supposed to take off at 9 o'clock, and it does not take off. It's 10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. It's 12:30. It's 1 o'clock. The plane is not taking off. They say there is a technical difficulty. Finally, they fix the technical difficulty. It's Mumbai International Airport. It's 100 degrees. It's muggy, totally humid. The plane is not on for 4.5 hours. You can only imagine the beginning of the journey. And then we are like, okay, now what happens? So finally at 1:30, plane takes off. And we see there were relatives back in the day. They used to let the relatives all the way to the plane, like, by that.
Yes,
So
sir.
we could see them in the from the window, that they're standing. They're like standing and watching like this, literally waiting for us, right? So they're waiting for us. So we go, and then what happens is, the plane takes off. We get to London Heathrow Airport. We're like, oh my god, it is so gorgeous. Like, we were like in heaven, like, we were in a different world. So we go to the ticket counter. We walk up, and we're like, now what do we do? So we were eager to catch our next flight. And then we go up to the ticket counter person. I had to go to restroom. I'm like, I don't know how to ask. And I see this door. So I go around, I try to look for it. And then I see this door where everybody goes in tense, comes out really happy. It took me like 10 minutes to figure it out. And then one guy, Indian guy, I asked him, he's like, what is what I asked him what I wanted to do. And he's like, this is the restroom, right? So I go inside, I finish my business, I come outside, I go to my dad, and I see he's struggling. He's saying something to the ticket counter person. She's not understanding, and she's saying something he's not understanding. It's a total miscommunication. So the Indian lady walks up to us and she says to us, first thing she says, what this person is telling you is you have missed your connecting flight. And we thought the literally the bottom had left us. We are like, oh, don't know. We are like freaking out. We don't know what to do. Inside, we are like freaking out. And so now this lady helps us get the vouchers for the food and hotel and all that, and get us a nice flight book for the next morning. Well, for the next morning, as we do that, we had never been in a hotel, so we go in the hotel. We are young kids. We love the bed. I'm like, oh my god, that is like a heaven, right? So we get into this 5-star hotel. It was absolutely beautiful, and then we go downstairs to eat because we were hungry. Right, so we go downstairs to eat the food. We are vegetarian. It's 1989, September 4th. Can you imagine? There's only two words for that, my friend Neil. It's good and luck. There are only two words for that, right? No. Can you imagine that? So we go downstairs to eat, and this Indian lady walks up to us again, Neil, and she says, "Okay, let me help you." And she gets us a spaghetti, a bread roll, and a salad. And I'm like, I have never had grass in my life. I'm gonna have grass today. Wow, that's exciting, right? Double happiness. So I go inside and I start digging into the grass. It was horrible. It was a bitter salad. I'm like, what in the world? People eat that garbage? I cannot believe that, right? Then I said, okay, no problem. The spaghetti has to be good. So we go for the spaghetti, and spaghetti was just, Kung Fu Panda's dad, plain noodles with boiled noodles, right? That's what it was. It was a plain noodles. Okay. It was like, I'm like, what in the world is that, right? And then I said, okay, no problem. Bread is universal. So I go for the bread, Neil. And you know what happened? We couldn't buy the bread because it was English soup roll. And we go to bed hungry that night, right? And next morning, we made sure we got to the airport on time, way early, okay? And we made sure that we caught the flight. But that moment, when we started to take off, in that moment, we finally were at a relaxed stage. Me and my dad had a conversation, and the conversation was how great it's gonna be. We're gonna have a house, we're gonna have a car, we are going to have all these things, right? That we really thought was we were upgrading our life essentially. And we land in the United States for the first time, and I tell you, like, the feeling that I had, I cannot describe, but the freedom, the feeling of freedom, right? And all that. And literally, like, within 1 year, Neil, we bought a house. We had a car. We bought a car within a couple of months. Then we got our own apartment. And then we bought a house within 1 year. So the feeling that you're asking for, the initial when we landed, the freedom that it offered was absolutely amazing. And today's world, Neil, everybody has that freedom all over the world. It doesn't have to be just United States, right? So what I can tell you is that what you're asking for, that moment of wow, right? Like, I just looked at my frequency and kept on upgrading every single step of the way. Yes, it had little bumps in the road, but that initial, the conversation we had with my dad, and first car we're gonna have, and we bought a, I was working at Little Caesars Pizza, and that's how I was the first one to get a job in the house, right? And then my dad got a job, and my dad, when he got a job, Neil, for the first time, he's 100, not even 100-pound guy, like 95-pound guy, like very skinny, right? And he was my uncle got him a job in Virginia at some sort of a factory where they had to break boxes, the big boxes of like refrigerators and all these
Yes,
things.
sir.
Okay, so he's like trying to break the boxes. He can't break the boxes. He's getting on the boxes. He's trying to do all kinds of stuff to break the boxes. He can't break the boxes. It's not in his forte. Then they said vacuum. Well, he has never seen a vacuum before. So, he starts vacuuming everything he sees, right? Big paper, small paper, everything. Like, he starts vacuuming. He's like, oh, this is gonna right in. This is kind of perfect. I don't have to broom it or whatever. It's just gonna go right in, right? And of course the vacuum breaks, and there was a long lasted job for one day. And that being said, so that was the beginning of the whole roller coaster, right? And then me and my brother, like, we are admitted to the high school, and we go. Can you imagine two kids in the high school and don't know what the heck's going on? Like, you're sitting in a class, in our class, Neil. Me and my brother, we were like looking at each other. The teacher is saying something. I'm like, what in the world is she saying? I have no idea. Like, okay, whatever. And my brother studied English medium, and I'm like, you should know, like, you studied English medium, you should get it. Like, that's what I'm telling him, and he doesn't understand, right, either. And I didn't understand for sure because I studied in Gujarati medium in our own language, right?
Mhm.
And so that made it difficult. Then the bell rang at the first class, and the bell rang. Well, I thought, we were just waiting. Okay, now the next teacher will come. That's how it goes in India. The next teacher comes in. No, everybody's running around. Like, what the heck just happened? Like, everybody's running around, right? And then they were like, yeah, you have to go to your class. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm in the class already. Like, what are the class, right? And we are running around every single class. We were running around trying to figure out what to do. And that's how, initial stage, no, despite, like, of course we had a great feeling and we loved every moment of it, and it was chaotic, and it was amazing, but it's a journey that we enjoyed. Like, to this day, I think about that, and I remember Miss Wallstein, my very first teacher, and I can never forget her, right? And Miss Kwak, like, I cannot forget those teachers, as they made impression on me as a ESOL, as a English as a second language. So they made those impressions on me, right? And Miss Godfrey, like, she was my math teacher, right? So they made those impressions, right? Mr. Smith, he was my counselor. Like, those people, I want to thank the teachers, by the way, those who are teachers. If you're listening and you're a teacher, I want to say thank you so much for making that impact. Now, that being said, right, that made an impact on me. So
Okay,
that's the
Ash.
beginning.
So you said a lot. I have questions off of that.
Yes.
So you mentioned that this was your experience, right? So you and then your dad making that decision, saying, "Okay, do we get a house here for the 80,000 rupees, or do we take that and invest in this thing, right? This dream, this possibility, this potential that we can't see, but we believe it's on the other side, and that there's something better for me and my family." But then you also mentioned coming into this environment, and I do want, and I'm not sure if you're even aware of it, but you replay this story with a smile on your face, and as if you can go back and see it today. And you mentioned that it wasn't all smooth sailing. You mentioned that there were highs and lows, but the frequency continued to increase. What do you say to that person? Maybe they didn't leave their country to go to this unknown land, this undiscovered area, but they find themselves at a place where they're looking around at a sure thing in one area, but then on the other side, they're saying, I think there's something more over there, but it requires risk. It's on the other side of uncertainty because we've read about it, right? We read about it in books, we've seen it in movies, but to now get to have a conversation with someone who says, we know what uncertainty looks like. Our first, like from the very beginning of the journey, it did not go the way we planned for it to go. We did not want to sit in 100-degree metal tube for 4 hours with our family members and loved ones sitting there waiting on and looking to be excited. What do you say to that person who might find themselves today in that place where they have a sure thing, but they believe there is a better thing over there, but they're afraid, but they're uncertain? What do you say to that listener today?
So listen, if you're listening to me very clearly, I want to let you know, right? So if you there's two things here, okay? So the question is, you're really questioning whether you have the opportunity where you are already, or do you believe that the opportunity is on the other side? Okay. Now, this is something that it is the hardest thing you'll do in you, as far as you as a human being, because in your root chakra, in your base of your spine, right between your private and your anus, right, there's a tailbone, and that tailbone is where your emotions are lying, and these emotions are screaming at you and saying, uncertainty, uncertainty, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, uncertainty, fear, anxiety, like that. It's like a literally a song. Okay. And then there's also another song in that same, like, think of it like a record, right? In that same chakra, the same energetic center, okay, you will see, certainty, comfort, and those kind of things inside of that, right? It's in the same chakra. So the question is, what do you pick? Okay, which one do you pick? Do you stay here, or do you pick, you take the leap? I'm going to tell you very clearly that number one, learn to trust your instinct, right? Learn to trust your first gut reaction, right? So, like, this is the hardest thing you'll do. The hardest thing you'll do, like, I personally do my own trading and stuff like that. Every time, I kid you not, Neil, I look at the trading chart and I say, okay, I'm going to do this. Or I look at a business opportunity, I say, I'm going to do this. And every time I double guess it, I know the instinctively it's a good or not. I know it, right? But the minute I go against it, it's over, right? So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what does it tell you? Check with yourself, not with me, not with Neil, not with anybody else. Check with yourself first.
Mm.
Okay, don't trust anybody else, don't ask anybody else, doesn't matter who it is, just don't ask. Very first thing. So for me, Neil, whenever I'm making a decision that to be more firm, right, I first like look at my instinct, then I go the formulas, because what you're looking for is certainty. You're looking for that confirmation that what I'm doing is a good idea, right? That kind of thing. First thing. The first thing is the magic of the magic of this whole intuition, right? Believe in that the possibility does exist, whether it's here or there. In today's world, you don't have to go very far. You can just turn on the internet and you'll find all kinds of opportunities. So good news is you don't have to travel from India to United States or from wherever you are to some other place. You can just turn on the internet and you have the opportunity right in front of you, right? You don't have to worry about that. The second thing I would say is follow the logic. Like whatever logic you have, follow that. You know what? Yes, it is true that it's not going to be 100% correct. Yes, it is true. Just accept that. So one of the biggest thing with root chakra is understand and create the from a logic point of view, create the comfort zone that it's okay if you don't succeed. It's okay if you make mistakes. It's okay if you stumble. It's okay, right? It's perfectly fine. Just like our journey from India to here, it's okay that our plane didn't take off. It's okay that we got stuck at the London Heathrow Airport. It's okay, but it's a journey. We learn things from there, correct? And then you
Right.
get to build your own science, whatever that science is, because that's when you get to come on this show and talk about all kinds of crazy stories. Otherwise, your story will be like, hey, I woke up in the morning and I was successful. How is that? Like that would be boring, Neil, right? Like that would be a boring
That would be
story.
very boring, Ash. And so fortunately for us and the listeners that you don't have a boring story. But I do want to jump in something because one, you have this air, this aura about yourself, this energy from the time that we've met to even where the audience are watching or listening now. So I want to, so you mentioned chakras, right? And you've mentioned that a number of times. And we have your fifth book soon to be published and released, Financial Chakras. Could you explain the idea, the stages, pillars, so that we could get some understanding? Because for many of us, we're like, hey, I don't know what Ash has, but I want some of that, right? Or I want to maybe be more confident and know myself and use this energy. Where do we begin? What are the chakras? How can we get in tune or aligned with, if you would, sir?
Okay, so just to give you an understanding, Neil, the chakras are, so chakra, the word is Chakra, chakra, right? Chakra, it comes from the ancient Vedic text written up in 1500 to 2000 BC. Okay, and it's called Vedas. The name of the book is called Veda. Okay, in the Vedas, they wrote about chakras. Chakra, the word itself means wheel. So inside of your body is described as there are seven main epicenters of these wheels, if you will. And this epicenter, they start at the base of your spine, right? So if I was to take an arrow and put it across, right, we will go from the front. So it starts with the base of your spine, then the first chakra. The second chakra goes right above your privates, right, right up underneath your belly. That's more, that stands for create. So first one is safety and security. Second one is for creativity. The third chakra is right by your belly button, right? It's in the spine. But if you were to put a dagger, like an arrow, and
Mm-hmm.
you stab it in the back, so you'll see that in the when it comes through on the other side. So right by your belly button, so that's your third chakra. So that goes for, in the American world, is known as personal power, fire in your belly. But more importantly, it stands for importance. How important you are. Sometimes, that's why you take a look at a lot of things that are very successful. It makes people feel important, such as
Mm-hmm.
this video call right now, right? So that's what third chakra comes in. Fourth chakra is heart chakra, and it's all about love and passion and so forth. Fifth chakra is your throat chakra. It stands for your growth. It stands for your communication and things of that nature. Sixth chakra is your third eye chakra, which is known for intelligence, intellect, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then last chakra is your, your crown chakra, and that one is known for, like, you need absolutely nothing. So basically, these seven chakras are really your epicenters. So think of them as like the wheels. So think of it like a combination of a lock, right? If
Mhm.
one is blocked, then the other one is not open. Does that make sense? So what
Yes.
happens is, if you are living in fear, or if you are living in anxiety, and you just cannot take the next step forward, essentially what happens, Neil, is that, it's coming from a certain chakra and certain things that are going on, and then there is, once you have that piece, there are other things going on. So with the financial chakras book, as you asked me, Neil, okay, in the book, like, one of the things I've described is not only what are chakras, and I go more in detail about exactly how to identify which one is your main chakra, like where do you reside, like all of us reside in one of these chakras. Like one is your, what I call your main chakra. Then comes the flow. So there is a current financial flow that you follow based on that. So like, have you noticed, if you do one thing one way, you always do something else almost similar way, or if not exactly the same way?
Yes, sir.
It's because you flow in a certain way. Okay, so that's a second thing that I teach. The third thing that happens in here, Neil, is I have created a way for you to create your own signature financial flow using chakras. Okay, and most important, Neil, I teach people, like, in the book I have written about how do you measure mathematically, how do you measure your emotions in dollars, and how do you measure your potential in dollars. So
So right there, I know we have a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs who hear this, and I think that we've gotten hit with jargon so much. Potential, right? Your worth, your value, and it's an idea that's out there floating, and we're like, okay, yeah, I know I have potential, but what is that? Yes, I know I'm valuable, but what is that? So what you're saying, Ash, is in the framework, in the study, you've come through and said, hey, here's how we can actually measure that, because we know that the great mindset, if you don't measure, or if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. You can't do anything with that. So that's going to be contained in your fifth book, Financial Chakras, that's soon to be released.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
So I do have a question. So I know that we are all individuals, that we're unique. You've dealt with thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, different ventures, helping them to be successful. Not just successful, right? You've brought them from a place of good to great, to help them break through and really unlock new levels that they probably never thought possible. So without making a generalization too much, is there one thing that you have seen that is common that is required for them to break through? Is it belief? Is it coaching, training? Is it awareness? What keeps people stuck? Those entrepreneurs, those business owners, or just different ventures, what's keeping them stuck here and keeping them from being able to elevate or increase their business, their game, or their lives?
So there are, and I'm glad you're asking that question, because what happens, Neil, is that most entrepreneurs that I deal with, or at least the people I worked with so far, right? What happens is that they don't understand how we, us as human beings, how we actually operate. Okay, because what it is since we were born, did you know that until about 6 years old, once you that experience from birth to 6 years, it actually shapes the rest of your life, because all your habits, all the things are already shaped back then, right? So there are four areas. There's a emotions, there is a feelings, there are thoughts, there are beliefs, there are actions, right? That drive your ultimate result. Okay, so what ends up happening is, in your mind or in your neural pathways, you're already trained in a certain way. Your chakras are already, like, in a certain way you are trained. So if they told you in school that you always have to be perfect, and if you went to that school that you have to be perfect, right, when you grow up things have to be perfect, and when things are not perfect, you get irritated, you get mad, you get angry, you get anxious, you get fearful, you get, like, when things are off balance, correct? So at the end of the day, okay, when you are really looking at your future, okay, energetically speaking, one of the biggest things I find with entrepreneurs is that, how do you rewire that? And that rewiring requires, unfortunately, it requires a practice. It's not a one breakthrough event or one breakthrough session. It's not a, like, you can create a small change with that. I'm not saying you cannot, but it requires a practice. It's a practice.
So Ash, you know that word is not popular, right? So you're saying you gotta practice. So we're still talking about practice, still talking about doing the right thing consistently, trial, error. And so the reason I interjected here is that, I have my own idea and feeling, and it is in alignment with yours. When it comes to school, that we're not supposed to be perfect, and then they make us afraid to make mistakes, that instead of teaching us how to think, they teach us what to think. So just continue down that line you were going, that hey, it is not easy. It's not going to be a one-time deal where we pass a test and now we're ready for life. We pass an exam and now we're ready to be multi-million dollar business. So go ahead and continue, sir.
So what happens, Neil, is whatever you have done so far, you have practiced. Until now, the fact is, your practice. You have practiced the art of bickering. You have practiced the art of, oh my God, I don't think I can make it, right? The fear. You have
Right.
practiced the art of being in anxiety. You have
Right.
practiced that art. You have mastered it. You're not even practicing it. You have mastered it.
We've done it so long that we're experts in all of the negative stuff in life.
Exactly. So now the thing is, what happens is, Neil, is that we make negative things in our life so big and positive things in our life very small. But
So
the
so so wait,
reality
wait,
is,
wait. Why do we, so why, where does that come from?
that's a good question, right? Where does it come from? So it comes from, like, how we are trained. Since, so in our neural pathways, we
Right?
remember things that are really like affect us, like
Yes, sir.
it jolts us, right? Like it just does that to us. And then what happens is, when something similar happens in other areas of our life, there are 5 areas of life that I teach, right? Health, relationship, business, finance, and spirituality. 5 areas of life. So when that happens, one of the areas, so let's say you are, scammed. Okay, like, I was scammed before, just so you know, full disclosure. So when that happens, right? And now the next scam happens, or next time something similar happens that is
Mm-hmm.
almost similar, you sense it, right? You become aware, and very much sensory kicks in, okay? But what happens is, this time it amplifies 10 times.
Right.
Okay, so first it was just a thing that happened, like I fell off the tree, which I have done many times, but you fell off the tree, okay? All right, but that being said, okay, that being said, it didn't scare me. Does that make sense? It was okay. Okay, but there are other things that has happened that I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that, right? That kind of a thing. Does that make sense? Or something really bad happens to you, you amplify your emotions. So, people say, like, money doesn't make you better, is, like, is the love of money or whatever else, like that, what you guys know, the saying, okay? Just fill in the blanks. But that being said, that's the advantage of fourth English as a fourth language. You forget whatever people said, okay? You make up your own stuff. So that being said, okay, but you get my point, right? So
Yes.
what happens is, as you are doing this journey with something in your life, right? You remember those memories, and your neuropath, there are 86 billion neurons in your body. There are 7 chakras in your body, and then there are 60 billion cells in your body. 60 billion plus cells in your body. These are all memory centers. They remember everything, everything. Let me be clear. Everything. Okay. Your body, did you know, Neil, that your body doesn't know how to get sick? Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, your body doesn't know how to get sick. It gets sick because of you, in how you operate your vessel, if you will, right? So what happens is that your body, your cells, they don't know how to get sick. They just know how to stay healthy. You make them sick, right? So now what happens, Neil, is that your neuropathic ways that have been trained and been trained to think in a certain way, right? So what happens is, you've been thinking it's bad, 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 bad. So what happens is, when something amplifies, okay, when in your life something happens, so we're taught in that way, right? We remember the bad. Unfortunately, that's how we remember, with a shock, with observance, like in a shock. Like, when I was a little boy, I was riding with my dad, and we had a bike, bicycle back then. We didn't have a car or whatever. We were either barefoot on the ground, or we had a bike with the flip flops on. Okay, that was our transportation. So I remember vividly, we had my dad had bought this bike, and he was dropping me off to school, and I was sitting in the back, and my leg got caught in the wheel. Right, to this day I have the scar, and to this day I remember very vividly exactly what happened. Right, why? Because it's a shock to my system. Now I don't let it affect me, but I remember
Right.
it.
Okay.
Make sense? Now,
Yes.
so the question then becomes, Neil, is how do you flip the script on your brain, on your energetics, to remember the good things and delete the bad things? And that's the whole game. Right, that's the whole game. Is how do you flip the script on that and say, I remember all the great things and I don't remember any of the bad things. Now, all the stuff that has happened to me, I remember it as a great things to me. I'm glad that they happened to me. I'm very thankful that they happened to me, right? Even if that means that when I grew up with my grandmother, my mom's parents were farmers, because I grew up on a farm in many ways. We had buffaloes, and we had cows, and we had dogs, and we had a big farm. Okay, like we had all of the above. To this day, when I was about, I would say 2 3 years old, if that, my uncle took me to this tower, clock tower. So he took me to this clock tower upstairs, and there was a beehive, and the beehive like it literally got mad, and it bit my uncle all over the place, and it bit me too. Right, to
Hmm.
this day I remember that memory. Is it bad? No, I think it's kind of, like it's okay. Like, I understand it happened, but I don't let it affect me. Does that make sense? But you remember the minuscule details. Your brain, your cells remember that. Was it bad? No. Was it in the moment, like if you were to stay, was it dangerous? Yes. Does that make
Right.
sense? But what I'm
Absolutely.
saying is that that happened. That doesn't mean what some people make things, right? So in your mind, there are three different filters. There's a distortion, deletion, and generalization. So you process information through those filters. And what happens is some people just distort things, and they just say, well, this happened, so this happened, so this must be the case. This happened, so that must be the case. And they make up all kinds of stories in their mind, right? Or they delete any good information and they keep the bad information. It's by choice, by the way. It's by choice. Okay. And then, and or they so they generalize everything. Like, have you met some people like this, Neil? Oh my god, everything I do, it just turns into garbage. Everything
Yep.
I do, nothing ever works out for me. It's all made up stories. It's all filters. You are not filtering information correctly, and because you're not filtering information correctly, the end result is, because universe, whoever you believe in, a god, Jesus Christ. I'm Hindu, by the way, by religion. So any of the Hindu gods, or Jesus Christ, or any other gods that you may believe in, okay, or any spiritual being you believe in, okay, or no spiritual being at all, whatever you believe in, right? The fact of the matter is there's only one energy, and that energy only has one job. Did you know this, Neil? Only has one job.
Yep.
Tathastu, God bless you. Tathastu, God bless you. So you say, I'm scared. Tathastu, God bless you. And you say, I'm scared even more. Tathastu, God bless you. Tathastu means God bless you, by the way. Tathastu and God bless. And then if you say it more and say, oh my God, you must love being scared. You must love being freaked out. Tathastu, God bless you. Tathastu, God bless you. Like, and then it just keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. And it's a choice you're making. So
Right.
you remember these bad things, Neil? It's a habit. It's a habit. You perfected that art. You know exactly how to jolt your body at any given point in time, and you created that.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And that's the issue. Nothing
Good.
else.
Good stuff. Ash, so in my research, well, first, we know that in 2025, I'm going to say in the United States because that's where we are now, but this idea of the hustle culture, let's hustle, 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 hustle. Always going, never slowing down, maybe not getting great at one thing, but trying to find ways to be good or different areas and avenues to be good in. You say that strategy, alignment, and financial wisdom beat hustle. Could you explain why you're so confident that strategy, alignment, and financial wisdom beat hustle? Because what we're being sold is, nah, if you just get on your hustle, if you just outwork, if you do this thing, maybe get a side gig and it's hustle, hustle, hustle. But you're saying strategy, alignment, financial wisdom are going to win. Could you just elaborate on that for us, sir?
Yeah. So the hustle, like, just give you an understanding. Hustle has a role to some degree, right? So it's like this. Let's say I want to go from Maryland to New Jersey, which I was where I was last week. I mean, literally this past weekend. Okay, this Friday, basically Saturday. Okay, so I want to hustle. Okay, I want to go there as fast as I can. But I'm driving towards Virginia. Will I ever get to my destination?
It doesn't matter how much you hustle, you're going in the wrong directions.
Exactly, right? Or let's say I want to go to New Jersey, but I'm walking, or I decide to run. Will I get there to New Jersey anytime soon?
No, sir, you'll
No.
get there, but not on a good timeline.
Exactly. So the first things first is, yes, it's important to hustle to secure. Sometimes it's important to hustle to secure the ground. Like, I secured the ground initially. I was working at Little Caesars Pizza,
Right.
and then I worked at a gas station. After a couple of weeks, I started to work for a gas station. So why? Because initially they were paying me $4.25 an hour at the pizza place, and then they started paying me $5.50 at the gas station. So I took the job at cashier. No problem, right? It's a progress in my world. I was going to school from morning to afternoon, and every afternoon I would walk to work, like 2 miles to work basically. And from my aunt's house to there, I would walk to work, and I would work from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 12 o'clock at night, Monday through Thursday. On Fridays, I work from 3 o'clock at night in the afternoon to next afternoon, like 24-hour shift. Then I would come home and go to sleep for a little bit, and then I would come back to work, back to work, and I would work throughout until Sunday. And I did that throughout. Eventually, I figured out a way. I made a deal with the gas station owner, because I noticed that every Sunday there was no mechanic there, and that people used to come up to me and say, "Can you fix the tire, or can you fix the oil change?" I said, "I cannot be a mechanic. There's no way I would be, right?" So I said, "I can, but I can help you get the tire changed. Tire, what do you call this, plugged or balanced, and all those just basic stuff, right?" He's like, "I'm happy to do that." And I made a deal with the guy. I said, "We'll go 50-50 on the profit," right? So I made the deal with the guy. So the question is, was it a hustle, or was it a smart hustle? Does that make sense?
It definitely took strategy because you could have been hustling, doing the wrong thing.
Exactly, right? So it's like, if you're genuinely working towards what you want to accomplish, and if this step is helping you go further, go for it, right? Go for it. My first year in the US as a 16-year-old kid, I accumulated well over $25,000 in cash. Does that make sense?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to hear that when he says $25,000 first year in the U.S., this was 1989, 1990. So that 25,000 would be much more than 25,000 in today's currency. So let's be very clear, because we're listening, and that's one of the things, Ash, that if we aren't careful, we tend to listen to everything through the lens or filter of right now today. But you're talking about, and you mentioned the wage at which you were earning $4 and change, and then you got a raise to $5 and change, and so to accumulate, $25,000 in a year as a young man, that is a phenomenal feat, especially if we're being honest. We look at adults now who cannot accumulate that, right? While contributing to a family and adding and making sure that we are building something that lasts. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Now, Ash, I do want to just go from there into this idea of creating wealth, because I know I want to respect your time, but you've gone from coming over to a foreign land with your family, not speaking a language. And now I think it's one thing for you to do a thing well and for you to have results. But I believe it's something special for you to do a thing so well that you could then coach and teach and train others how to do it using a proven strategy and system. And so our audience here on Beyond the Velvet Rope, they're watching or listening and they're saying, Ash, okay, first, we want more of you. So before I even ask the question, where can we find out more about Ash and what he has going on so that we can dive in and become a student?
Okay. So you see here at the bottom, right by my name, you'll
Yep.
see my website. So financialchakras.com. And I want to extend an invitation, Neil, right? Two things, okay? I want to extend two invitations. For those who are joining me, I'll pass a link to Neil where you get something that I do. It's called Daily Wealth Manifestation. Those of you are really looking to program, rewire your energetics, okay? It's literally what I do in this particular thing, Neil, is that I go in and I work with your rewiring with your neural pathways and all that stuff. And then so I help you change your who you like, from one thing to the other. It's a practice, right? Then I go into help you get balanced in 5 areas of life: in health, relationship, business, finance, spirituality. I help you get balanced. And then I help you celebrate. So you get rid of all the bad memories and you start to bring in new good memories. And I help you, so that way you get to start changing. In the morning, my goal is to wake you up in the morning and really get you going so you are ready for the day and get you focused for the day. And then in the evening, my goal is to help you fall asleep at night. I do this every day, Monday through Friday. Okay. Those who want to join, I'm happy to give them 30 days of free trial as me being on this podcast, number one. So I want to say
Yes.
thank you from my side, Neil. And by the way, it's my invitation to you. If you would like to join, I would love to have you personally as well. Okay. I would love to invite
Thank
you.
you, sir.
The second thing I would love to do for your listeners is that when they go to my website, if they really want to dive in and understand exactly how they function and where their bottlenecks are, right? Because there are three things going on in your life. You want to go up in your life, you want to do better in your life, but what happens, Neil, is that either you are going sideways, right? You're going up and down, but overall it's sideways. And you're going, what the heck just happened? You look at your life and say, what happened, right? The second thing that might be going on with you is you're going constantly, no matter what you do, you constantly keep going downwards. Okay. Or third thing that may be going on is you are just stuck, right? If these things are happening for you, right, you want to attend my 3-day live event that I do. Literally, it's $47 to for general admission. You're most welcome to come, right? It's on my website, financialchakras.com. 3 days and I'll blow you away. That is my gem that I deserve, that I really deliver. So that's what they can do is go to financialchakras.com and be part of that. And I would love to have them as they're joining.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard Ash say financialchakras.com is also going to be in the show notes. Any links, all of his information is going to be there. But now, this is where I want to start bringing us home, Ash. You talked about these people who might find themselves either going sideways, they might be stuck, they might be going downward. Let's say we have an audience member today and they find themselves stuck and they are here saying, yes, I want to improve not only my business, but my life in those 5 areas. And I know this is a big ask of you, Ash, but what might be one of the first things that we do? Is there a first step that we take as someone on this journey? Because I know the first piece of advice that you gave us was to consult with ourselves, to listen to ourselves, and to lean into that intuition piece. But if we're here and we're stuck, let's say as a business owner, because I know you're really great at helping business owners turn that corner. I'm a business owner. Things have been okay, or they've even been good. But now I find myself here today listening to Ash, and the realization has hit me, yeah, I'm stuck. I haven't seen a win. I haven't seen a victory in months or years, and I want to improve. What do you say to that business owner today, Ash?
Okay. So first and foremost, right? So you want to, if you like, you're looking for a victory. Okay. The question then becomes as to, have you trained yourself? Number one, have you trained yourself to see a win in your life? Because everything is a momentum, right? You built a momentum of not seeing the wins. So you're not seeing the wins. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Like one of the things you can do very easily. Okay. One, you can start with a gratitude practice that I teach everybody. What I teach is that my students, that early in the morning when you wake up, right before you go to bed, when you get into that alpha state of sleeping, okay, you do 10 random gratitudes. They are not specific, they're random. They're totally randomized. Like this morning when I woke up, we just came from we stayed at my daughter's house in her apartment. So we were, I said, thank you so much for the trip. Thank you so much for taking me to the temple. Thank you so much for taking me to this place or this place, right? Thank you for my dog. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for random things that you haven't thought about, right? So it's a randomized every day, morning and evening. Totally randomize it. Don't let your brain go in one direction. Go randomize. Thank you, the pillow. Thank you, my bed sheets. Thank you, my lamp. Thank you for my cell phone. Thank you for this microphone that I have here, right? Thank you for this Zoom, this Riverside call, right? Like, thank you. Like, just thank you. So that is one practice that you can do. The second thing you can do is there are basically five sentences I'm going to teach you. So literally early in the morning and late at night, you can do 108 times. You do this and it will start to shift things around for you. So five sentences. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Om Shanti. Shanti means peace. Okay. So Om means, Om is a word, a word like sound of the sun is Om. Okay. So what you do is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, Om Shanti. These are five sentences, but that will begin to bring peace back into you. You can count 108 times just on your hands. So there are, if you look at these little cuts in your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
8, 9. There are 15 cuts in your hand. You do this 8 times, you are at 105. And you just do 3 more and you're at 108. Okay. You do this early in the morning. Okay. And late at night before you go to bed, it will start to shift things around. The second thing you can do. Third thing you can do, if you're feeling stuck, Neil, right? You take a plain water bottle like this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Put your frequency, meaning your emotions that you want to accomplish. So, for instance, five areas of life: health, relationship, business, finance, and spirituality, right? So, my word for this year, okay, I just had my birthday a couple of weeks ago, and every year I choose a word. This year, my word is mega impact. That's my word. Okay.
Okay.
So for me to do that, right, I have to have a certain frequency. So in the five areas of life, in health, right, I want to be strong. Okay. So to give you an example of that, in a few months ago, so I told you I got scammed a few years ago, but that carried on, right? So the impact of that carried on, and I didn't know that until it came to realization about 7 months ago, Neil. My A1C shot up to 14. I'm vegetarian. I don't eat meat. I don't eat a lot of sugar. Like, it's not my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it shot up to 14, which is pretty bad. Okay. My bad cholesterol was 888. My good cholesterol, they couldn't even measure it. That's how bad it was. But because of this practice, like somebody got that news and went, oh my God, like, I'm gonna freak out, right? I did my practice. Okay. My A1C as we speak, okay, is right around 6.5.
From 14.
From 14 6 months ago to 6.5. My bad cholesterol has dropped to like 3, almost like 200, 250, right? And my good cholesterol began to show up on the charts. So that's the impact that it makes. The first thing. Okay. So health, my goal is to be strong. I don't want to be a six-pack ab kind of a guy, but I want to be strong for sure. I want to be lean. I imagine myself as that, right? So I do that. The second thing is relationships. Okay. I want love is my word for that, right? Love and passion. Okay. And I'm delivering that the same thing. So those are my words. Okay. Then my business. Okay. My business, the word is mega impact. Because if I make an impact, I get reward. Correct? It's very, very
Right.
simple
Correct.
math here. So mega impact. My finances. Okay. My credit score has always hovered around 800, 790, 800, 790, 800. Like it's been around
Right.
that. I had set up thought process to get it to 850. This was a goal that I have, right? My credit score as we speak is 849.
So Ash, really, really quickly, right there, you and my wife have the same goal because my wife is right there, and so she's like, I want to get to 850. So go ahead.
Exactly, right? And then the last comes the spirituality. So for me, in finances, is success, right? To me, it means yes, it is prestigious. I want, one of the things I want in my financial goal is I would love to take my family on a jet on a good vacation. That's one of my dreams. I set up. Remember, we flew here from India. That was one of the first things. I'm going to do something huge. That was, I told my dad that I'm going to do something huge, right? And to me, that's huge, big accomplishment, right? And then the last thing is spirituality wise. My frequency that I'm putting out is actually about just being in service, just serving, right? So when you take this water bottle, I mentioned that because if you take the water bottle like this and you put your frequencies, the ultimate transformation, meaning for me, health is what? Strong, right?
Yep.
Then we have relationships, love.
Love and
Okay.
passion.
So if I
Yes.
wrote that on this water bottle, right? Did you know the water, it's proven by scientifically proven that if you take water and if you notice that if you put anything in the water, it dissolves. Anything in water, it dissolves. Like you put sugar in the water, it dissolves. You put salt in the water, it dissolves. You put mud in the water, it dissolves. I mean, it mixes, right? You put
Right.
milk in the water, it mixes. So water has the ability to absorb any energy. Dr. Osaru Emoto, he actually proved that when he took the water from a polluted river and from a good river, and he took the two vials and he wrote on the water, right? He took two vials each, and he wrote on the vials that I hate you and I love you. I hate you. And he went into the minuscule level of like put it into the microscope, right? And he saw that molecules of those waters actually changed. And those of you are listening, if you want to do this exercise, you can take a water, like a plain glass of water, like crystal clear glass of water, put a water in it, and then you put hate on one cup and put love on the other cup, and you freeze it. And next morning you will see the cracks are different on both glasses. So that's the power of, when you say power of the word,
Yeah.
right? But the question is, what is the power of the word? Like, what the heck does that mean? Like, can you show it to me? Like, can you prove it to me? Right? So this
Right.
actually proves it to you. So if you take this water bottle, write stuff on it, and then if you let's leave it overnight, okay, and you just drink it in the morning or throughout the day, the frequency of the water is going inside of you, and you can begin to unlock yourself to take it to the next level, right? Take it to the next game, like you're ready to go. And if you need help with that, they can always book a call with me on my website, and I'm happy to do something with them. But at the end of the day, it boils down to is exactly, what, like there are steps you can take, but this is what, it's not a one day thing, right? If it's a magic pill, there is none. Okay, it's a
Yes,
it's
sir.
a what is it? It's a practice.
It's a
Okay, it's a
practice. That
practice.
that dirty word again, as practice.
Yeah, it's a practice, and it's a beautiful word actually, right? It's a absolutely beautiful word, right? It's all in association in your
Yep.
being, right? Once you understand the clarity, like for me with my high A1C, right? When I heard that, I told my doctor, I said it's going to be gone, and my doctor was like, there's so difficult. Did you know, like this, she went into this whole thing, right? And she's like, hey, man, if you can now, in the disbelief, she's saying, if you can get rid of it, we will celebrate. She's saying that, but she's not believing that's going to happen. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She wants me on the meds, and she wants to put me on all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, I'm not taking any. My wife, I drove my wife crazy, and my daughter is going to be a doctor. I drove her crazy, right? But the thing is that the minute I said that, right,
You
it
knew.
became, I knew. Does that make sense? And the
It makes
steps
perfect
taken,
sense.
I've taken only herbs. I've not taken any crazy medications. I'm only on herbs. Like literally, I do herbs. Every morning, I do herbs. That's it. And I have certain exercises, there's certain things that I do, right? But when I heard that for the first time, A1C14, right? I'm like, I am going to get rid of this completely. I'm going to destroy it, and it will
Yeah.
never come back again.
Come on, I love it, sir.
Does that make
Absolutely,
sense?
man.
So
Oh,
that is the
it makes
frequency.
perfect sense.
That is the frequency you want to be at, no matter what it is, right? When we landed here, we knew we were going to do this and
Now,
plan was
now, now,
very.
hold on right there,
Yeah,
Ash. When you landed here, did all of your family, was that a common belief and knowing that we're going to do this thing?
yeah.
That's so awesome.
It's mom, dad, me, and my brother, four of us.
That's so awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean
sir,
that's it.
I know we're running long on time, but I do
No,
want
no,
to.
it's okay. Don't worry about the time. I'm good.
Okay, so how important was it for you as a young man to see that in your parents, right? To see that, like, hey, we're going to do this thing.
Neil, I'll tell you, like, when you're a child, right? They're your lifeline, essentially,
Hmm.
correct? But in this case, like, we were all each other's lifeline, right? We knew that we all had. My brother was 14, I was 16. My mom and dad, obviously, in their 40s, and so forth. That being said, we were all each other's lifeline as a unit. The good news is we also had other aunts and uncles and cousins that were there as a support. Okay,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, it was just four of us, right? We had to make it. Make sense? So the belief that my parents were there was very important. First year, because of three of us working, my mom, my dad, and me, right? We were able to buy the house. Literally, in September 4th, 1989, we landed here. In mid-August of 1990, we bought the house, right? That house today is paid for, obviously. But more importantly, my parents are still living there. But there was a point, Neil, when my mom and dad were working 22 hours a day for months at a time.
Wow.
They were working their full-time job,
Hmm.
and then they were working at the post office to get overtime that was necessary for them to collect cash. So they worked at overtime at post office during the Christmas season, during the holiday season, and they would work 3-4 months in a row, non-stop working overnight hours, and they slept 2 hours a day. Right? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. But there was a time when I used to work close to between. I worked as long as 48-hour shifts, and I would sleep at the gas station, obviously, but I would take naps and stuff like that. But like overall, like that played a big role for me. My parents played as a role models. They played a huge role for me. And in my book, by the way, I wrote about my parents. I wrote about my grandfather because he's the reason I created Financial Chakras. It's been a beautiful journey.
Good stuff. Ash, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, Ash Shukla, financialchakras.com. You're going to have all of Ash's content, contact information in the show notes. If you had to say one thing in closing to our audience today, Ash, what would that be, sir?
I want to let them know that it is my wish to the universe that may it give you all the health, wealth, and happiness that you deserve. And I want to let you know that I love you.
Come
And
on,
I
how you
can
gonna steal that from me, Ash? Come on, I love it, dude. Give it to me again.
Okay, I love you. Okay. But that being said, I'll tell you one thing very clearly, that no matter who you are, no matter where you are in your life, doesn't matter where you are. Okay. You can make it to the heights you haven't even thought possible yet. All I can tell you is that believe in yourself, your energetics, your chakras, no matter which is your primary chakra, whichever one that you come from. And if you come to my 3-day event, you'll get to know which one do you come from, and I'll show you how to measure your potential, so that way you know exactly what your worth is, and then you can give yourself that trajectory that's necessary to really go and work long hours. It's okay, right? But as long as you're working towards the right direction, okay, and you're moving in the right space, it's okay to work in that direction. And I can tell you right now that you have everything that it takes. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you are. I can come here with 20 bucks and no English. Literally, my English was hi and bye, and that was end of English. Okay, like, to me, if you can do that, you have more than if you have more than 20 bucks in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and you know how to speak English, you have more than what I had in my hands. And I can tell you that you can do this. You got this. And I'm with you. I'm with you. No matter where you are, I'm with you. Okay. And I want to let you know that I love you and I really just want to make a difference in your life, and I want to just help you in the best way possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from my brother right here, Ash, financialchakras.com. And so we are kindred spirits because I'm going to reiterate exactly what he said first. You have what it takes. If you're still here on this spinning orb that we call Earth, you have a purpose here. We need what you have. And Ash, I want to go ahead and let you know that you have been of service during this episode. You will continue to be of service for everyone who listens. And when this episode, this information makes it to the airwaves. So thank you for your time, your energy. Thank you for being the man that you are, the leader, the husband that you are. It is all exciting. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we want to leave you as I always do. And that is that I love you. God loves you. There's nothing you can do about it. And don't be average, be world renowned. Have a fantastic day. Take care.
Thank you guys very much.